Lincoln Project co-founder Steve Schmidt tweeted a very lengthy thread to Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez suggesting she join forces with the group to prevent, quote, losing the country to autocrats.
Schmidt's interesting overture comes soon after media reports on the Lincoln Project's ineffectiveness in actually helping to defeat President Trump. Some analysis found that their ads were the least effective of any of the major ads which were run. Journalist Ed Jelani joins us now to weigh in on all of that. Great to see you, Zed.
Good to see you, Zed.
Good to be here.
So let me read. This is a long thread that came about midnight on December 12th.
Yeah.
And I'll just read you a little bit of it so the audience has a little more sense of it. He says, I would like to officially reach out to AOC on behalf of the Lincoln Project. In defense of democracy, we disagree on many issues, and that is okay in our view. By the way, we don't look down on waitresses. We admire them. We are all the types of guys who always tip at 50% or more. Yeah, sure you are.
Yeah.
I have an idea. Let's approach each other and our points of view with good faith. We say the following with respect and seriousness, ma'am. Our hand is open, and we need to work together, or we are going to lose America. The fight will last for many years. There were like maybe five,
no, it was like
eight,
10.
I don't know.
Yeah.
There were a lot of more tweets in the thread. I won't bore you with all of them. Anyways, Zed, what is your thought on all of this?
Yeah, I mean, so the study that you all mentioned, I'm wondering I don't know if Priorities was responsible for it.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah, so like it's funny, like there have been longtime Democratic Party affiliated ad makers who run ads who are pretty effective. Like Priorities has a pretty good record, particularly what they did in 2012 against Romney was considered very effective. And I just have to imagine being one of those people who spent your entire life in the Democratic Party going up against people on the Lincoln Project on the other side, right? Like Rick Wilson, who was one of the founders of the Lincoln Project. The thing I remember him most for was in 2002, when I was living in Georgia. He ran an ad against my Democratic senator, who was a Vietnam veteran, who was a double amputee, basically likening him to bin Laden, using a lot of terrorism imagery, saying, well, he voted against these DHS bills. The reason he voted against those particular bills, by the way, is they weren't protecting union rights for the people who worked there, basically implying he was making America unsafe. This is what everyone who was involved in the Lincoln Project spent years doing, was basically much more effectively fear-mongering and dividing Americans than Trump did, honestly. And then I think when the time came when they couldn't get contracts with Trump, when it was clear that he was going to hire different people, they kind of switched sides. Now, some Democrats may say, well, these people helped us defeat the Republicans. You know, they're very useful. These are Republicans themselves. They know how Republicans think. I really like that Priorities did that study, because whenever I would view Lincoln Project content, it was pretty obvious to me they were playing to the culture war. They were getting very personal with Trump. They were doing things that basically Democrats like, right? Not that swing voters like, not that irregular voters or voters who need persuasion to come out, but people who are obsessed with Twitter and Facebook, who probably give to a lot of other Democratic PACs. Those people liked what they were doing, but I don't think it necessarily appealed very much to the rest of America, and that's why their record was so poor in the recent election. Now, the question is, how does a group like that keep raising money? Yes. And how do they survive in a post-Trump world? And I think that's why they did this overture to AOC, saying, please help us. Why does she need to help them? I mean, they have no relationship to her political project and what she's trying to do. And there's a million Democratic Party affiliated ad makers out there. Why do these guys, what do they really add? And, the answer is that they need more summer homes and yachts and so on and so forth.
I say the answer should be obvious. After all these months, struggling Americans don't just need action. They need action fast. Fast. So I continue to appreciate our productive discussions, but I hope we also remember just how urgent the situation is for millions and millions of our fellow citizens. So for the information of all senators, we're going to stay right here, until we're finished, even if that means working through the weekend, which is highly likely. And if we need to further extend the Friday funding deadline before final legislation can pass in both chambers, I hope we'll extend it for a very, very short short window of time. Our citizens can't afford for us to get bogged down in the back and forth. Let's finish up our bipartisan framework. Let's make law as soon as possible. That's what our people deserve.
The biggest stories the moment they happen from around the globe. Subscribe to Bloomberg Quick Take now for insight in an instant.
Of course, we've been reporting here on the millions unemployed and many in food lines across this country as Christmas approaches. Tonight, news that Democrats and Republicans are finally nearing a deal, closing in on a new COVID relief package and a new round of stimulus checks. For how much? Here's Mary Bruce tonight.
Tonight on Capitol Hill, after months of maddening delay, a deal to provide relief to millions of Americans hit hard by this pandemic is finally in sight. Democratic and Republican leaders huddled late into the night trying to hammer out the details.
We made major headway toward hammering out a targeted pandemic relief package.
And not a moment too soon, thousands of Americans are lining up for food this holiday season. 50 million expected to go hungry this year. And more than 19 million Americans are now collecting unemployment. Ricardo Ramirez was laid off from his hotel job in San Antonio and fears he could lose everything. His unemployment runs out at the end of this month.
It's not a game. It's about time for them to do something for the community.
Tonight, help could be on the way. The $900 billion bipartisan compromise includes $300 weekly federal unemployment benefits and $600 direct payments to most Americans. The bill would also extend protections against evictions and provide billions of dollars for small businesses and vaccine distribution. But Democrats won't get the billions they wanted in state and local aid, and Republicans won't get the protections they wanted for businesses hit by pandemic-related lawsuits. President-elect Joe Biden today stressing this deal is just the beginning.
It's a down payment, an important down payment on what's going to have to be done beginning at the end of January into February.
All right, so Mary, bottom line tonight, what are you hearing? When will the deal be done? When will the checks go out?
Well, David, if they can get this bill done in the coming days, and once the president signs it, it's expected to take 2 to 3 weeks for those first checks to start going out. So help may be coming, but it's still likely to take several more weeks before Americans start to feel any of this relief. David?
They are watching and waiting. Mary, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.
From Missouri.
Madam President, last week I came to this floor on 2 separate occasions with Senator Sanders to talk about the need for direct assistance to working families in my state, in the state of Missouri, and all across this country. And I said that I was willing to use every tool at my disposal to make sure that this body acted to give direct assistance to working people in need as part of COVID relief. And I said then, and I say it again today, that working people should be first in line for COVID relief, not last. They should be the first consideration, not some afterthought. And I'm pleased to report that we're told today, as negotiations are ongoing about a COVID relief bill, we're told that direct assistance to working people and working families is in the bill, that working people will be getting assistance. And I want to say once again here on this floor, as that package continues to take shape, how important it is that working families be able to count on some relief, and how important it is for this body to prioritize working people over government, over big businesses, over government programs, but to give assistance directly to the people themselves. Look, people know how to spend their money and what's best for their own families. The quickest way to help people in need is to give them direct assistance and let them make the choices for their own families, for their own kids. Not to have to wait in line for some program, not to have to talk to some bureaucrat, but to be able to make their own choices direct, with assistance that comes direct to them. That's going to be in this bill, I understand, and I'm sure as heck going to continue to fight to see that it is in the bill and that any relief that's passed by the Senate prioritizes working people with direct relief. Now, some have questioned whether this is really necessary. Some have said, well, it's not an emergency. This bill is only for emergencies, and direct assistance isn't an emergency. To which I say, is it not an emergency that working people are having to line up for food, literally line up for food in this country, in this day and age, because they don't have enough money to go purchase nutrition for their own children? I mean, just think about what's happening in my own state. Let me tell you about Monarch Baptist Church in Neosho, Missouri. That's down in southwest Missouri. Now, at Monarch Baptist Church in Neosho, they had a food distribution program, and they've done this for years, by the way, but as COVID intensified this past year, they stood up their efforts. Neighbors came together, donated. They got all the food that they could. They went out there in Neosho, Missouri, not a huge town. Monarch Baptist Church went out and started distributing food. Do you know they distributed food to hundreds of families for hours? And when they had run out of the food, there were over 50 cars, not individuals, cars, 50 cars still in line as far as the eye could see, having driven miles and miles around from neighboring counties to come for the help. These are working people, Madam President. These are not folks who want some handout. These are working people. These are proud people. These are people who don't want government to do stuff for them. They want to be able to get back up on their own feet and provide for themselves. And government shut down their businesses and took away their jobs this past year and put them in this position of, in some cases, outright desperation. Let me tell you about a gal from Kansas City, 22 years old. Her first name is Mars. I won't share her last name just for her own privacy. But, you know, she's talked to me, told about her plight. She moved to Kansas City earlier this year, right around the time the pandemic started, got an apartment, was getting set up, getting going. Then the pandemic hit. Then the shutdowns hit. Then she lost her job. Then she lost her plumbing. Her water wouldn't work. She complained to the landlord. They wouldn't do anything. Then the ceiling collapsed. Landlord still wouldn't do anything. Then she didn't have enough money to make rent. And the other day she woke up with a 10-day eviction notice out on her front door. These are people who need help. Not because they don't know how to work, but because they do know how to work. And the government has put them in the position that they're facing today. This pandemic has put them in the position they're facing today. And what they want is the ability to get back up on their own 2 feet and provide for themselves by the work of their own hands. And that is what direct assistance to working families will do. So to those who say it's not an emergency, I urge you to open your eyes and to look around at the people who are hurting, who are struggling, who are desperate for help. I've heard that it's said that, well, it's not stimulative. What a word. Direct assistance isn't stimulative. As if the American people are knobs and dials to be twisted and turned around to get a desired outcome. As if the economy is something to be micromanaged from Washington, D.C. I'm not interested in stimulus. I'm interested in helping working people survive. I'm not interested in micromanaging this economy. I'm interested in getting working people back up on their feet so they can manage their own lives. That's what this is about. That's why the need is so great. That's what we're trying to accomplish. We have a chance to do this, Madam President, to get this done, to get accomplished here, something that we can be proud of before Christmas, to send a message to the American people that they matter, to send a message to working people in my state and in every state in this country that they matter, and that we are here fighting for them, that we look forward to the day when they are back and at work, ready to work, able to support themselves and their families, and that we are on the path to getting there. That's the message that we can send. That's the message that we must send. And I will not leave this body until it is accomplished. And I can promise you this, if I have anything to say about it, we will not be leaving here before Christmas until direct assistance is on the way to the working people of this nation. I yield the floor.